Okay, so today I'm going to discuss this open cycle type gas turbine plant problem. So be very careful. So carefully understand the problem. So I will be explaining each and every steps that you need in order to solve this problem in detail on the whiteboard and also on the screen. So okay, so now let's focus the problem. Two-stage compression base. That means in this problem there are two compression stages. Two-stage compression based open cycle gas turbine plant which is initiated with air at 1 unit of atmospheric pressure and at a temperature of 28 degrees of Celsius. That means the input conditions of air to the system are given as 1 atmospheric pressure. Be very careful about the unit conversion, and the initial temperature is 28 degrees of Celsius. It's subjected to an overall compression ratio of 15.21. So that is the overall compression ratio of 15.21 means the at the end of the compression process, the initial pressure is increased by 15.21 times before it is exposed to the combustion process, because combustion process is the process that where we do the heating before charging the turbines, right? So that's the scenario. So then the ultimate working temperature of the turbine cycle is maintained at 1525 Kelvin. Okay, that means the starting temperature of the first turbine is 1525 Kelvin. That means we are going to charge the first turbine up to 1525 Kelvin. So at this particular temperature condition, the first expansion process starts. That means at this particular temperature condition, gas is subjected to the maiden turbine stage. That is the place where the initial turbine process or the first adiabatic expansion process starts, right? Right. So then the initial expansion is proceeded up to 3.12 bar. That means the first expansion process is proceeded till the pressure is 3.12 bar, right? That means the expansion process of the first turbine is proceeded till 3.12 bar. Then after that the turbine has lost its energy content. Then again we have to reheat it before going to the second turbine stage, because I told you in this problem there are two turbine processes. So that means after the end of the first turbine process, you need to charge the next turbine. So that means here it is mentioned later sent to the final turbine stage after reheating. That means after the end of the first turbine you are going to reheat the remaining. So reheating the expanded gas from the first turbine stage up to 1393. That means again you are going to reheat the remaining gas up to 1393 before giving to the second turbine. So that is the story. So starting from here to there, that is the story. Then they ask us to estimate the net power. So we need to calculate net power and the thermal efficiency, and by considering the given, because there are certain set of specifications of the plant that you have to consider, and also we have to calculate the airfoil ratio. So that is the problem. So basically this is the problem. So again read it if it is not clear. Okay, so right, so in case if you have any sort of a doubt, you can email me stmechibhi@gmail.com. okay, right? So you already know my email. So if you have any sort of a doubt, you can mail me. That's okay. So now again, please clearly understand the problem. So this system is basically two-stage compression based problem. Now all the plant circuit, all the theoretical stuff are explained from A to Z from the very beginning, right? If you continue this lecture video. And also I have a very special advice for you guys. Don't think just before the final examination, just before your thermodynamics paper. Don't think that just by studying 5-minute or 10-minute YouTube video you can get a good idea about gas turbine plants. It will never happen. Okay, so please spend this time, don't go for shortcuts, right? Okay, so now let's focus the specification, because these things you have to consider before solving. Overall compression process is maintained under the perfect intercooling in between at optimum pressure. Let me teach you that. So that means I told you in this problem there are two compression stages. That means starting from the point 1, it is compressed till point number 2. Then after that it is again cooled, that is what we call intercooling. It is cooled till point 3. So that means the temperature at point 3 and the temperature at point 3. So according to this turbine plant we are using a fuel, right? So we need to supply fuel in order to work in the combustion chambers. So the calorific value of the fuel that is used is that much, right? Because we need to use a fuel at in the problem I have clearly explained there are two places where the combustion or the heating takes place. So the calorific value of the fuel is given as this one 41,570 kilojoules per kilogram. Okay, so then that is done. Then the final expansion stage is ended at the same original pressure. That means I told you there are two turbines. So if you are going to consider the final turbine process is ended at the same initial pressure where the air is sent to this process, right? Final expansion stage is ended at the same original pressure at the beginning, as same as the beginning. The ratio of the specific heat capacity, that means gamma, because like when you are going to use the ideal gas equation, T2 divided by T1 equals, you know that P2 divided by P1 to the power gamma minus 1 or gamma. So if you're going to consider that equation, you need the value of this gamma, the adiabatic constant. So that is given as 1.39 because you need these values. Then specific heat capacity, which is Cp. Specific heat capacity is given as 1.0048. Be very careful about the values. Okay, you need these values. And then air flow rate, because like there's a particular flow rate where air is sent to this process, because this process is initiated with air. So you need to know what is the airflow rate, that is 43 kilograms per second. Then the other consideration is neglect the weight of the fuel. Like for this calculation you don't have to worry about the weight of the fuel. So that's all about the considerations, because all the steps that I have very clearly explained on the board and on the screen recording. So please spend that time and study this completely, right? This one I didn't mention isentropic efficiencies. Like if you are going to consider for the compressors and for the turbine, there is an efficiency. That means the turbine and the compressor, those things are not perfect. That means the efficiency is not 100%. So it works good in 86% condition, right? So it works better as a percentage. It works better for 86%, and for the turbines it works better for 93%. So that is the consideration. uh, yeah, so that's all about the specifications, because you need those for the calculation. So carefully study this lecture video, because I'm explaining each and every step starting from the very beginning. Right, so that's it. So this is the problem. Okay, then thank you very much. So then I want you to continue the video. So now before solving this problem, it is very important to have a very clear idea about the circuit of this plant, right? That means how the components are adjusted, right? So first of all, read the problem very carefully. Okay, so then now let's focus the circuit, because now here I'm going to solve the problem technically, right? So this is a kind of a technical approach. Okay, so now let's see. So in this process there are two compression processes and also there are two expansion processes. That means there are two compressors and there are two turbines. Let's see that. So now I will sketch the first compressor like this. I will sketch the compressor like this because the reason, after compressing, the volume reduces, right? Because we are going to compress. So that is why I sketch the compressor like this. Okay. So now this is the first compressor. That means the first compression process. So this is the input, right? So this is the first air input, right? Because now if you are going to sketch a circuit, there should be certain inputs and there should be certain outputs. Okay, so now this is the input to the first compressor. Okay, so now the volume is compressed. Okay, so now after compressing, from here we get the compressed output. So we get the output from there. Okay, we give input to the compressor, then it compresses, then from here we get the output. So then this output we are going to cool down. You can just simply say cooler. So but it's better to say intercooler. Intercooler. Okay, right. So after cooling the output from the first compressor, then we are going to give that to the second compressor. Okay, now we are going to give that to the second compressor. So this is the second compressor, right? So then after the second compressor, we get the overall ultimate compressed air output. Right. From here we get the output. Right. So then that output we are going to heat. So here you can say, simply you can say heater, or you can say combustion chamber. No problem. Right. So because why we are going to heat? Because the reason for this heating is because we need to provide necessary thermal energy, the necessary heat energy, in order for the turbines to do its work. Okay, so that is that we are going to heat. Right. So then after heating, we are going to give that output, like after heating, we are going to give that to the turbine, first turbine, right? So after the combustion chamber, we are going to give that to the first turbine. So this is the first turbine. So now here you can see the diagram that I have sketched to denote the turbine is the opposite of the compressor, because the reason is after turbine, because after the turbine is doing a work, right? So after the turbine work, it expands the volume. That means the volume increases, right? So after the turbine has finished doing its work, it expands the volume. That means the volume increases. So that is why I denote like this, right? Okay. So then after this turbine is doing a work, that is okay. Turbine is doing a work to outside, right? So after this turbine, we get the remaining, right? So you can say the relevant remaining output, okay, right? Because we get some remaining. So that remaining, we again we are going to heat. So you can call this reheat, right? So you can call this reheat, because reason reheat means like after the first turbine, it loses its thermal energy, right? And after that, we need to use that energy to do another turbine work by adding some more energy to it, right? Because after this turbine process, it loses the energy, so we are going to reheat. So we are going to heat it back. Okay. So after heat it back, right? So after heating it back, right? We are going to do that to the final turbine. So this is the second turbine. Second turbine. Okay, right. So now every time I'm telling you turbine is something that is doing an output work. So that output work would be taken like this, right? So turbine is doing its work to there, right? The output will be taken like this. Okay. So after doing the turbine work, you are getting the remaining, right? So that remaining will come like this. Okay, so that's the remaining. Okay, right. So now that is the scenario, right? So that is how you are going to analyze the circuit, right? So I will explain that again for the betterment. So in this problem, there are two compressors. The reason there are two compression stages, and there are two turbines because there are two turbine processes. That means there are two expansion stages, right? So compressor is something that we use in order to compress, yeah, right? So for that we need to provide energy to the compressor, right? So turbine is something that is doing a work output, right? So we can get a work done from the turbines. Okay, so now let's discuss. I will again give a little summary. First compressor, this is the air input, right? So this is air input to the first compressor. So then the first compression is done. So from here we get the output from the first compressor. Then we are going to cool it. Okay. You can also call this intercooler. Okay. So we are going to cool it intercooler because there the scenario over there is the perfect intercooling in between the optimum pressure. That is something else, but I will explain that. It's okay, right? So anyhow, we are going to cool it. So after cooling that, we are going to give that to the second compressor. Okay, that's the final compressor, right? Okay, because there are two compression stages. So then from this compressor, we are going to get the final compressed air output, right? So that we are going to heat, right? Heat in a combustion chamber. Okay, right? Why? Because we need to provide necessary heat. in order for the turbines to do their work. So then that is given to the first turbine. So then first turbine is going to do the work, right? So then after doing the work, turbine loses its heat content. So that content again we are going to reheat, right? Because why we need to provide energy for the second and final turbine stage. So after reheating, we are going to give that to the second turbine, right? So after that, the overall turbine process finishes, right? Turbine output is taken from there. Don't mix up this path and that path, right? So turbine output is taken from there to the shaft, whatever, right? So that's the turbine output. So here the remaining content, right? And the reason like why we are going to call this open type means there is no interconnection in between this output and this AI input, because here I told you here we are going to give AI input to the compressor. This is the first input, right? So this is the first input. So there is no any interconnection between this remaining output and this air input. So that is why we call this is open type. Okay. So this is simply the plant circuit. So now let's focus to sketch the TS diagram, right? Because there are a lot of instructions uh, that are mentioned in the problem. So you have to consider all those specifications, or in other words, you can call these things as the considerations. It's very important. Okay, so now, right, I don't want to waste time on reading the problem again, right? Because now we already know the circuit, so that's no problem, right? So I will sketch the circuit there. Compressor input, then output through this cooler, then to the second compressor, then combustion chamber heater, and then it is sent to the next or the first turbine. Then that output we are going to heat again. Then it is given to the final turbine. First turbine, second turbine. First compressor, second compressor. So now that is the circuit. Now let's see how to sketch the TS diagram. Very careful, right? So this is T, the temperature, right? So this is S, the entropy, right? That's entropy. Okay, so now first let's focus this. We will give numbers, okay? So then you can have a better idea if you give numbers. Right. So let's give numbers. So input we will denote by number 1, right? So after this compressor output, definitely you will be getting an output. So let's call this as 2, right? So now what is 1 to 2? If you compress something, what will happen? If you compress something, definitely the temperature will rise. But be careful, guys. This is not just compression. This is a diabatic compression. Let's see that two-stage compression was initiated. Right. So the compression in this process is a diabatic compression. That means there is no heat transfer takes place between the compression. That means the compression takes place at the same entropy. Understand? So that is the point. Compression at the same entropy. So be very careful. This is 1 to 2. Okay. So 1 to 2. Okay, I will reduce the size a bit. The Y is a bit difficult. Okay. So let's say this is 1, 2, right? Because when you are going to compress, definitely the temperature will rise. right? So this is the temperature, this is the initial temperature. Initial temperature is at there. This is the final temperature. Definitely after compressing the temperature will rise, but at the same entropy, see this is the same entropy level, right? You can say S1 or any level, right? Okay, so 1 to 2, first compression stage. So then we are going to cool it. So we call it perfect intercooling in between at the most optimal point. That means we are going to cool it down, right? So cool back to the same temperature. Okay, careful guys. So you are going to cool back to the same temperature. So let's say that position is point number 3, right? So now this is the output to from the first compression. So then it is given to the cooler. So after this cooler, the output would be 3. Okay, because you are going to cool. So now this is that output. So that output 3 is given to the second compressor. Output 3 given to the second compressor. Then from that you get a fresh output. So that is output 4, right? Again we are going to compress 4. So let's say that point number 4, right? So guys, listen. So now you will ask from me why the temperature levels are same. Okay, right. Okay, I will give you the answer for that, because the reason, the overall compression is maintained under the perfect intercooling. That guys, this perfect intercooling is a scenario, right? It's a special scenario. The fact is this: if you know the overall compression ratio, let's call this as okay, say R. Say R is the overall compression ratio. Okay, so R is the overall compression ratio. So uh, now according to the perfect intercooling scenario, the compression ratio between each of the compression stage equals to root of R. Understand? Because first of all, point 1 is compressed to point 2, right? So then point 3 is compressed to point 4, right? So the pressure ratio between 1 to 2 is root of R. And also the pressure ratio in between 3 to 4 also root of R, because that is the scenario. I can even teach that under this manner also. Okay, so okay, let's call like this. So what is the initial pressure? So let's call that P1, the initial pressure. So what is the final pressure after the first compressor? So let's call that P2. Okay. Now I told you, after this position, after ending the first compression, it is intercooled, like it is cooled. Guys, be careful. This cooling takes place at the same pressure. This cooling takes place at the same pressure. So this pressure P2 is maintained throughout the cooling. P2, 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 and P2. Okay, right. So then, what is the next compression stage? That is P3. But no worries, P3 also equals P2, right? But so that's the case. So then from there it is compressed to the next pressure, which is let's say P4. But that doesn't matter, because you know P3 equals P2. So now what is the overall compression ratio? So now I'm teaching you how to get the overall compression ratio formula. So it is like this: P2 divided by P1, P2 divided by P1 for the first compression, then it is multiplied by P4 divided by P3, right? But you can cut P2 and P3. So that is the scenario. Okay, right. So now this is the TS diagram, right? First compression, then intercool. Okay, I will sketch again now. Right. Because now you have the idea, so I will sketch it again. So now this is the first compression, say 1 to 2. So then we are going to cool it, intercooling. So from then 3 to 4, right? Because see, this takes place under same entropy and this takes place under same entropy. Okay, so now this is 0.4. 0.4 means the end of the second compressor, that means the final compressor. After that, we are going to heat it. After that, use a heater and we are going to heat. So definitely after heating, no worries, entropy rises. So let's sketch like this. Entropy rises. Right? Let's sketch it there. Entropy rises. So let's say that let's call that 0.5. Right? After heater, you will be getting 0.5. So now this is 0.5. Okay, right. So then this 0.5 is the input to the first turbine. So then after that, after doing the work, it expands, right? So heat content reduces, but that expansion also takes place at the same entropy. That expansion takes place at the same entropy. So then under same entropy, under constant entropy, you can drop it down up to 0.6, right? 0.6, right? Right. So that means what is the remaining output after the first turbine? So that is 6, right? So after 6, again we have a reheater. So after this reheater, we have the output 7. That means from here again we are going to heat and be very careful up to what temperature we are going to heat it. Up to same temperature or bit less than that. See, in the problem it is clearly said the maximum temperature of the turbine cycle is maintained at 1525 at the first turbine. Then what is the consideration for the second turbine stage? Right. So again, after the end of the first turbine, it is reheated back to 1393. That means the second turbine is not charged as same as the input level of the first turbine. It is charged to a level that is little bit below in the first turbine. So it is charged up to there because like the reason this temperature is 1393, right? Because the starting temperature of the second turbine is 1393, right? The starting temperature of the first turbine is 1525, right? So now the second turbine is charged to a level that is little bit lesser than the where the first turbine is charged, right? So then this is position 7. Okay, so after that we get the output. So let's call it 8. So now this is where the second turbine process finishes, and so this is the end of the second turbine. But be careful, they have mentioned final expansion stage ended at the same original pressure. That means the initial pressure of input air and the final pressure I equal, right? They are same, right? They have the equal value because the final expansion occurs as same as up to the initial pressure. So then you can connect these two because these connection curves denote the constant pressure, constant pressure, constant pressure, constant pressure. See, constant pressure. This is also constant pressure. Why? This cooling takes place at the same pressure, and here also this heating takes place at the same pressure. This heating takes place at the same pressure. Understand? That means here P6 equals P7. Here P4 equals P5. So I think that is the way of sketching the TS diagram, right? Okay. Yeah. So now because I really wanted to have the circuit and the circuit and the TS diagram on the same board. So that is why I sketch like that. So now I will erase the entire stuff and I will sketch it again. Okay, with data. Okay, so now I will erase this, right? Uh, okay, so now, okay, now focus carefully again, right? Now I will sketch only the TS diagram. Temperature, entropy. Okay, only TS diagram. Okay, so now what is the first thing? Carefully listen, guys. I will teach again. Right? Sometimes there might be certain difficulties in the first teaching attempt. I will teach again. What is the first thing? First compression. First compression occurs at the same entropy. It happens at the same entropy. The reason it is adiabatic, right? But when you're going to compress, definitely the temperature rises, but entropy level is same. So let's start it there. 1, 2. So now what is 1, 2? 1 is the input stage. How to say that? 1 is the input to the first compressor. 2 is the output from the first compressor. Okay. So after that, I told you that is cooled. That perfect intercooling thing. Okay. So that cooling takes place at the same pressure, right? So then we are going to cool it. Cool back up to the initial temperature. Okay, up to the initial temperature. So let's say this point is 0.3, right? But be careful, if this pressure is P2 and if this pressure is P3, guys, P2 equals P3. Because why? Cooling takes place at the same pressure. So then the second compression process, 0.3 to 0.4, right? The level of 0.2 and the level of 0.4. So then after that, so now this is the end from the second compressor. Okay. So after that, it is heated. Why heated? Because before giving to the turbine, we need to heat. We need to provide some heat content. Otherwise, turbines will never work. Okay. So then, we are going to heat it, right? Up to the position 5. So we are going to heat up to the position 5. Now, what is the position 5? Guys, what is the position 5? That is the input of that is the starting position. So you can call it starting position of the first turbine. Okay, right. So this heating occurs at the same pressure. That means if you are going to consider P4 and P5, no issue. You can say P5 pressure is same as P4 pressure. So now this turbine expansion, because turbine is something doing a work, but it is doing the work diabatically, right? The entropy level will never change. Temperature will drop down because after doing the work, the temperature level will drop down, but the entropy will be the same. Definitely after doing the work, the temperature will reduce. No problem. So let's say that position is 6. But at the same entropy, see the entropy level is the same. So then after that, because now it has lost the energy content, right? Right. So because now after doing the work, the energy content that the turbine is having after the expansion process is very less. So we can't do any sort of energy from that energy content. So we need to heat it back, right? Okay. Because for that we are going to reheat because we need to reheat, right? Okay. So this position 6 is the input to the reheater because I told you we are going to heat it back. Okay, so we are going to heat it back, but careful, we are not going to heat it back up to the same input level as of the first turbine, because guys, this is 1525 Kelvin. But this level is not 1525, this is 1390, so a little bit lesser than that. 1393. Okay, 139. So what is this level? Position 7. That is another position 7. So then after that, what will happen? So that turbine will also do a work. After doing the work, definitely the temperature drops down. Reset there. So what is that position? Position 8. But this pressure at P8 and pressure at P1 are same, because in the problem it is clearly mentioned the final turbine expansion occurs up to the same pressure as of the initial pressure. That is the case. So then you can connect these two lines. Okay. So here we have combustion chamber. Here we have reheater. Here intercooling. Right. So now that's the scenario. Now let's focus the important formula that you need to solve this kind of problem. So we need this formula: T2 divided by T1 equals P2 divided by P1 to the power gamma minus 1 over gamma. Right. So we need this equation. So basically, this is the equation that we need, the relationship between temperature and pressure. But also the other fact is that I told you there is some scenario called perfect intercooling. Perfect intercooling. Okay, so that is something like this, right? So now I told you AI is given to first compressor. Carefully focus. AI is given to first compressor, state 1. So then we get the output from state 2. So the initial pressure would be P1, then the final pressure would be P2. So that is the first compression stage. So according to the first compression stage, there should be a pressure ratio, which is P2 divided by P1. So that is okay, that you can understand. So then after that, I told you we are going to cool this. So this cooling also takes place at the same pressure, right? So then it is sent back to the next compressor, right? So it is sent back to the next compressor, right? So okay, doesn't matter. You can. So let's call this a new name. So let's say that P3. But guys, you know P2 equals P3. No problem. So then after the second compressor, then again it is compressed up to P4, right? So now guys, the overall compression ratio means the ratio of the final pressure and the initial pressure of the input pressure that is sent to the compressor. So multiplication of those ratios is considered as the overall pressure ratio. The multiplication of the pressure ratio of output pressure and input pressure of each of the compressors is considered as overall compression ratio. So now you can simply state a formula for this. Now you understand the scenario. It's okay. Now I will erase this and I will say overall compression ratio as P2 divided by P1 for the first compressor, then P4 divided by P3. So this is the overall compression ratio. Okay. So but this P2 is same as P3. So this ultimately equals to P4 divided by P1, because like P1 is the input pressure, P4 is the output pressure after the overall compression process. Okay, right. And then now, so the other thing is, let me teach you that this is about the compression ratio, because you need to have that particular idea. Because now say from the first compression there is a certain pressure ratio. So what is the pressure ratio under the first compression stage? P2 divided by P1. So what is the pressure ratio of the second compression stage? P4 divided by P3. right? So now this is also a ratio. You can say, okay, let's call this, how to say that? So let's say that beta. So okay, let's say that beta, beta 1. Okay, so let's say that beta 1 pressure ratio. So let's say this is beta 2, right? This is beta 2. So what is the overall pressure ratio? Beta 1 multiplied by beta 2. But when you're going to consider the perfect intercooling scenario, right? Perfect intercooling in between optimum pressure, that means beta 1 equals beta 2. Because I'm not going to give the proof for that. Okay, that I will explain in another video. So, right, beta 1 equals beta 2 equals beta. Let's say like that. Beta 1 equals beta 2 equals beta. So, what is that beta? So, that beta is root of overall compression ratio. I think as according to this problem, they have mentioned the overall compression ratio as 15.21. Okay. So what is if like overall compression ratio they have mentioned as 15.21. So what is the pressure ratio in each of these stages? Root of that, I think root of 15.21 is how much is it? 3.9. Root of 15.21 is 3.9. Right? So that is the pressure ratio, the compression ratio in single stage. Okay. Right. So now you know that, right? So pressure ratio at a single stage equals beta equals root of 15.21 equals 3.9. So that means simply for the first compression stage, P2 divided by P1 equals 3.9. Simple. So that means without any doubt, you can find T2, right? You know T2 over, you know T2 over T1 equals P2 over P1 to the power gamma minus 1 or gamma. What is gamma? Gamma is that adiabatic constant. Okay. So in this problem, gamma is mentioned as how much? How much gamma? Yeah, the ratio of specific heat capacity, that is gamma, right? 1.39. So gamma is 1.39. Okay, gamma is 1.39. So what is T2? P2 divided by P1, gamma minus 1 or gamma minus T1. P2 divided by P1, you know, right? Pressure ratio in single stage. Don't need to worry. So put 3.9. Gamma minus 1 over 1 is 0.39 because 1.39 minus 1 divided by 1.39, because in the problem they have mentioned gamma as 1.39, so multiplied by T1. So T1 is the initial temperature. It is mentioned as 28 degrees Celsius. That means 28 at 273 for that in Kelvin. So that means 301. So if you do the simplification, the value for T2 will come like 440.97 Kelvin. 440.97 Kelvin. Simply, very easy. So that is the value of T2. Now you know compressor is something where we need to provide energy to that. To a compressor, we need to give energy. So if you're going to consider efficiency for a compressor, that means if there is that means if the compressor is not going to work 100% perfectly, if the efficiency of the compressor is 86%, that means we need to give some extra energy for it to work. Okay, it is something like this. Now consider this is the compressor. Okay, right. So now this is the input to the compressor. So let's say that 0.1, and this is the output taken from the compressor. So let's say that T2. 0.1, of course, it doesn't matter because that is the input now. that is input, right? The temperature of the initial condition, that is point 1, of course doesn't matter, but because of this efficiency, according to the actual scenario, the point 2 which is at there is not same as in the actual scenario, so let's call that 2 dash, because now we are going to discuss about the actual scenario. Why? Because there's an efficiency. Okay, right. So now, as according to the TS diagram, okay, now this is how we are going to sketch. I think I will sketch a straight line. So this is how we are going to sketch the compressor work, because this is 1, this is 2, right? That is how we are going to sketch the compressor work under ideal condition. Okay, but because of this efficiency, it will not same as that. It would be somewhere here, 2 dash. Okay, understand? This is the ideal scenario and this is the real scenario, 2 dash. So now you can observe the value at 2 dash is bit higher. Okay, done. So now simply the efficiency is the ratio of that. That means that we are going to obtain a kind of a relationship. So this is the efficiency. So usually denominator should be higher, right? So T2 dash minus T1, T2 dash minus T1, then upstairs T2 minus T1. So that equals efficiency of the compressor. So I hope that is clear, right? T2 dash minus T1, because like T2 dash is the actual scenario, is the ideal scenario. Okay, right. So T2 minus T1 divided by T2 dash minus T1 equals efficiency of the compressor. But this T2 we already know. Reason, from the ideal equations we can only find the ideal values, so not the real values. But now no worries. T2, you know how to find T2 because you already have a formula. T2 divided by T1 equals P2 divided by P1 to the power gamma minus 1 over gamma. So from this equation, you know T2. So that T2 you can put there. T1, let us see, you know. So then you can find T2 dash. So that value you can find. So that is the temperature under the actual scenario. Okay. Okay, so now consider the scenario for the turbines. Okay. Right. So then later we can have a sort of a comparison. So now this is the turbine. Right. So these turbines also have a kind of an efficiency. So that means because of these efficiencies, so they will provide us a lesser output than the expected, right? Because we think that these turbines will behave in the ideal manner, but because of the efficiencies, rather than the desired output that they are expected to give, they will give us a lesser output in the real world. That is what I told you. In the real life, in our real life, all the scenarios and the facts will act on the disadvantageable manner on us, right? So that is the way. Okay, right. So now what is the turbine efficiency? I think that is 93%. Okay, but forget about the percentage. So anyhow, this turbine is not 100% perfect. That's an efficiency. So because of this efficiency, rather than the output that it is expected to give on us, it will give a lesser output. Okay, right. So now I told you this is how we sketch the turbine work, because it is a kind of an isentropic process, isentropic expansion. So this is how the turbine is expected to give us the work. Okay, so according to this problem, we will consider the first turbine in the TS diagram. TS, right? So let's say this point is 5, let's say this point is 6, right? So 5 to 6, this is how it is expected to give on us in the ideal manner. But I told you there is an efficiency. So because of that, it will give lesser work. That means this point 6 will not be 6 in the real case. So it will be 6 dash. It is not 6, it is 6 dash. Okay. So now how to evaluate that? Again, I told you there is a scenario called efficiency. That means the ratio, numerator and denominator, downstairs and upstairs. So I can represent it there, and there's a ratio. Okay. So what is that ratio? Turbine efficiency, eta T. Okay. So in the ideal manner, it is providing us a higher work. Higher means denominator should be higher. Otherwise, we can't get the present. So now in the ideal manner, turbine is given as a higher work. But in the actual manner, it is given as a lesser work. So the denominator part should be higher, right? The denominator part should be higher. So what is the denominator part? It is T5 minus T6. Why T5 minus T6? Why it is not T6 minus T5? Guys, just think. Turbine is doing a work, so that means its initial potential should be higher. Initial potential should be higher. So that is why T5 minus T6. So downstairs part should be higher. Upstairs, T5 minus T6 dash. Right? Okay. So that is the scenario. So delta T is given, T5 is given, and T6 we can calculate. That we can calculate, right? Because why? The reason all the conditions are given in the problem. What is T5? T5 is the input condition of the first turbine stage. So what is it? It is mentioned as maximum temperature of the turbine cycle. That is the temperature of the first turbine. So that is 1525 Kelvin. That is T5. Okay. So T5 is okay, but now the scenario is how to find T6. Should I write it here? Right. So now again we can write that formula. T6 divided by T5, or you can say T5 divided by T6. It is not a problem, right? So I hope the board is clear. Okay. So P6 divided by T5 equals P6 divided by P5 to the power gamma minus 1 or gamma. Because guys, what is that? Because the reason it is an isentropic or adiabatic process. Keep in mind, adiabatic, isentropic are not the same. It is something like this. Reversible adiabatic processes are isentropic. Okay, just get the term. So now by using this formula, we can calculate T6. Okay, gamma you know, T5 you know, P6 P5. Do you know? Do you know that? P5 you know, right? P5 you know the reason. P4 equals P4, right? Okay, I will discuss that when I come to the screen. Okay, P4 you know, P4 is same as P5 because the reason from point 4 to 5 there's a constant pressure heating. So from P4 you can get to know P5. Otherwise it will be a problem when you're going to do the calculations. So then what is P6? P6 is the pressure where the expansion ends at the first turbine stage. So carefully, if you read carefully, you can find that see, at this particular temperature, the gas is subjected to expand through the first turbine stage up to 3.12 bar. Okay. So that means you know what is P6. P6 is stated as 3.12 bar. Okay, but be very careful about the units. Okay, so you can't keep P4 in ATMs, P6 in another unit. So be very careful about the pressure values, right? So anyhow, you can find P5 and P6 is given. Okay, so then from this equation, now from the equations you can only find the ideal values. So you can find what is T6, right? You can find what is T6. So then from this relationship, you can find T6 dash. That means the real case temperature. Okay. Okay, so now let's consider the ideal scenario for the turbines. And the ideal scenario, like how the TS diagram varies for the turbines and for the compressors. Okay. Okay, now it is like this. Okay, so now let's consider the turbine first. So now I told you turbine. Turbine is doing the work isentropically. That means at the same entropy. So the entropy level will not change. So now this is the entropy level. See, at there. So it will not change, right? So now, according to the actual scenario, it is doing a lesser work on us than the expected ideal scenario. So this 0.6 would become 6 dash. But there is no any formula for us to find 6 dash. Okay. We can only find the value of 0.6 from the ideal equation, because equations always give us the ideal values. So this is how the point varies under the turbines. So now let's consider for the compressors. Compressor means because of the efficiency, we have to give something more than the expected, something more than, right? So the point 2 is because of the ideal scenario. According to the real scenario, we have to do something more than 2. So we are obtaining a point called 2 dash. So it is something like that, right? This is the ideal case, right? So because of the efficiency concept, we have to do something more. So now this is the actual, this is the actual scenario. This is the ideal scenario. This is the ideal for compressor. This is the actual for compressor. This is the ideal for turbines. This is the actual for turbines, right? So yeah. So now another thing. Now when we are going to sketch the ideal line and the actual line for the compressor, sometimes you might be asking what is that? What is the type of the curve? Better sketch a straight line. Like if you're going to consider for the compressor, this is the ideal line 1, 2. Right, so this is the ideal line. So if you're going to consider for the actual case, I told you there is a point 2 dash, which is at there, little bit at a higher level, right? So this relationship also, it's not a curve. Some people are thinking it is a curve. It's not a curve, it's a straight line, right? Better sketch it from a straight line. Okay, and for the turbines also the scenario is same, right? But now what I'm going to teach you is not that. So now the scenario of the pressures, right? The pressure ratios case. Now I told you there are two compression stages. Okay, P1 through the first compressor is compressed to pressure P2, case 1. So then I told you this is intercooled, say cooler. I told you cooler. So this is cooled at the same pressure, right? So if you are going to say the cooler output is P3, no worries, P2 equals P3. Okay. So then this is sent to the second compressor. So no doubt. So P3 is the input to the second compressor. And what is the output? P4. right? So then that is the scenario. Now that case you already know. Okay, so now in this problem I told you there is something called overall pressure ratio. Okay, what is the overall pressure ratio? 15.21. That is the overall pressure ratio. So what is the overall pressure ratio? Pressure ratio in the first compression stage, which is beta 1, multiplied by pressure ratio in the second compression stage, which is beta 2. Okay, right. So what is beta 1? P2 divided by P1. What is beta 2? P4 divided by P3. Right? Because this part should be higher, right? I told you that. So that guy should be the highest. So P4 divided by P3. But here you can very easily see P2 and P3 you can cancel. So it is P4 divided by P1. 15.21. Okay. But if you're going to consider this chart, majority of the pressures are given in bar, right? But guys, be careful. This guy P1 is the initial pressure that is given in ATM. Okay, so that is given in ATM. So 1 ATM is how much? So 1 ATM is 1.01325 bar. Okay, 1 ATM is 1.01325 bar. Be very careful. Okay, so then this ATM value you better put in bar. So 15.21 multiplied by 1.01325 in bar. So that equals P4. So P4 is same as P5. I just taught you how to find the pressure values. Okay. And okay, now say you want to find P2. How you do that? I think now this of course clear to you, right? So I will erase that. So don't worry guys, all these things I will discuss in the screen also. Now I told you that 15.21 equals beta 1 multiplied by beta 2, but I told you because of the perfect interpooling scenario, beta 1 equals beta 2 equals beta 1 beta 2 equals beta. Okay, so that means 15.21 equals beta squared, that means beta equals 15.21 square root. I think that is 3.9. So that means you know the pressure ratio in each single stage, right? So in case now if you want to find P2, I told you beta 1 equals P2 divided by P1. Okay. So what is beta 1 actually? So that is beta, that is root of 15.21 equals P2 divided by P1. So P1 you know that is 1 ATM, but I told you don't put in ATM, put in bar 1.01325 bar, right? So that means P2 equals under root 50.21 means 3.9 multiplied by 1.01325 bar. So this is the value for P2. Just taught you how to find the pressure values. And the next case, work done from the turbines, because there are certain equations that you need, right? What is the work done? Okay, like what sort, like what amount of a work we can get done from the turbine? Easy. I told you this is the turbine, right? Because turbine finally expands the volume, so that is why this is higher, right? So what is input to there? T5. What is the output taken from there? T6. Okay. But according to the actual scenario, this T6 will become T6 dash. Okay. Right. So that is from the actual scenario. So anyhow, just forget about that actual and ideal scenario. Anyhow, input is T5. Let's say the output is T6. So what is the turbine work? turbine work is Cp times Cp is the specific heat capacity at constant pressure, which is mentioned in the problem. Okay, so specific heat capacity of at constant pressure. So turbine work is Cp times the temperature difference of turbine input and output. But anyhow, input is higher, right? T5 minus T6. But don't put T6 here because here you have to consider the efficiency of the turbine. So T6 dash. Okay. And that is for the turbine work. Now let's consider for the compressor work. So I told you this is the compressor. So what is the input? T1, output T2. Over the actual scenario, I told you it will become T2 dash. So what is the compressor work? Cp times T2 dash minus T1, right? But be very careful, guys. In this problem, there are two compressors. Okay, so this is one compressor. This is the cooler. Then this is the second compressor. But nothing much to worry. This input T1, this is T2, this input T3, this is T4. But according to the actual scenario, I told you guys this T2 would become T2 dash, T4 would become T4 dash, right? So the total, so here you have to consider the total compressor work. Okay. So compressor work, the work required in order to give to the compressors would be Cp times T2 dash minus T1 plus Cp times T4 dash minus T3. But guys, T1 equals T3 according to the TS diagram. So T2 dash equals T4 dash. You know how it comes? Because the reason, right? Okay, I will teach you that. Anyhow, okay, then consider this one. Okay, there are two compressor works, this one and that one, right? How T2 dash equals to T4 dash? Okay, I will explain later, right? So anyhow, there are two compressor works. Okay, right. So this is also clear because it's better to teach these things separately. So now the next scenario, now I told you there are two compression stages. This is the first stage, 1, 2. Okay. So then it is cooled. Then 3, 4. Now the compression ratio from here to there is beta 1, but that is same as beta. From here to here, the compression ratio is beta 2, but that is also same as beta. Okay. So this is T1. This is T3, but in the problem, it is mentioned that right. So now anyhow, according to the perfect intercooling in between the optimum pressure, right? Just highlight that because of the perfect intercooling, this temperature must get reduced to the same initial temperature as T1. So that means T3 equals T1, right? Okay, so now let's focus, guys. T2 divided by T1 equals Q2 divided by P1 to the power gamma minus 1 over gamma. T4 divided by T3 equals P4 divided by P3 to the power gamma minus 1 over gamma. What is P2 divided by P1? Pressure ratio, beta. P4 divided by P3, pressure ratio, beta 2. That means beta. So this guy is same as this guy. This guy is same as this guy. That means T2 equals T4. That is the point. I hope it is clear, right? If it is not clear, just listen to that part again. I think so. Now, what are the basic things? Like basic things I thought to explain on the board. Then we can directly go to the rest of the solvings on the. Okay, so now let's focus the rest of the calculation. Okay, uh, so now in the previous session on the board I explained you all the basic theoretical stuff. So now let's focus the other calculational stuffs. So now here I have sketched the T temperature and the entropy diagram, okay, TS. So now you already have a very clear idea about how to sketch the TS diagram and how to represent the compression processes, and also how to represent the turbine processes, so like how to represent the diabatic expansion processes for the turbines, and how to represent the diabatic compression processes for the compressors, and you know all those things. Okay, so now let's go in brief, because there are a lot of things for us to discuss. Okay, so now this point 1 to point 2, 1 to 2 is the representation of the first compression process, the first compressor, right? So but you know, because of the efficiency, the actual work that we have to supply is little bit higher. Now you can see the level of point 2 is there, the level of point 2a is little bit higher than the ideal point, because point 2 is the ideal point. To there you can see point 2a is the actual point, but I think on the board I denoted the actual representation as 2 dash, but doesn't matter, here this simple a means actual, right? So 2a is the actual representation, so we can connect it by a dotted straight line like this. Okay, right, so it is okay. So then I will use a different color, right? So then starting from point 2a to point 3 we have intercooling. Intercooling means cooling. So this cooling happens under the constant pressure, right? So this cooling happens under constant pressure. That means we release, like we reject some heat, right? In simply we can say cooling, right? So then from 2a to point 3 we have cooling, right? So that is also okay. So then again, now we have the representation from 3 to 4. So what is the representation from 3 to 4? 3 to 4 is the final compression stage, the second stage compression, right? Because here you can see the entropy level is same. Okay, right, so that is 3 to 4, the final compression. But I told you, because of the efficiency, the actual work that we have to provide is a bit higher, so it is point 4a, the actual representation of the point 4a, right? Because it is at a higher level when compared to the level of 4. Now this straight line is the level of 4, and this straight line is the level of 4a, the actual representation. Okay, done. But keep in mind, this 4a actual, 2a actual also should be at the same level, right? Because I told you, because the temperature at the point 2 and the temperature at the point 4 both are same. Those things I already discussed, right? So this is something extra. Okay, now because like definitely, like if you are going to reject the heat, definitely the entropy is reduced, right? Because we are going to reject heat, so entropy is definitely reduced. Okay, so now we are at this point. I will use some different color. Okay, say now we are at here, right? Because it is the actual representation. So then starting from the point 4a to 5, what we have, 4a to 5 we have heat addition, because we add some heat. Be careful, we add this heat at the constant pressure, that means Cp, because you know there's a famous formula mc delta theta. Okay, I will come to that later, but be very careful, because this heat rejection and also this heat addition, both these processes happen at the constant pressure, because like we are going to add some heat. Why? Because we need to charge the turbines. In order for the turbines to do the work, we need to charge them. That means we need to add some heat. So that means starting from point 4a to 5 we are going to add some heat, right? So I hope that is also clear. See, 4a to 5 we are going to add some heat, right? So now this is 0.5, that means now this is 0.5, that means the starting point of the first turbine. Okay, right. So then what is the turbine process? So turbine process is simply an adiabatic expansion process. Adiabatic means that work is done under the same entropy. It is done under the same entropy. See, that is why it is a straight line. From 5 to 6 it is a straight. This 5 to 6 is a straight line, right? 5 to 6 is a straight line, a diabetic expansion. But I told you, because of the efficiency, like all the time in the actual case, uh, the effect on us is not on the advantageable side. According to the actual case, if it is a compressor, according to the actual case, we need to give something more than what it actually requires. That means if we have to give something more to it, that means our cost is higher. Understand? So that means if we are going to consider, in the same case, if we are going to consider for the turbines, in the actual case, more than the expected, it is giving us something lesser than that. Okay, so that is the scenario. So I have, so now this 6 is the level of the ideal point. Okay, so I can again represent like that. Here you can see the point 6, right? So point 6 is the ending of the first expansion process, right? So then this is the level of the point 6. So according to the actual case, the work that we can get from it would be lesser than that. In the actual case, the work we can get from it is lesser. So that actual level is somewhere there, right? Because if the length from 5 to 6 is higher, that means higher work. So the length from 5 to 6 dash is lesser than 6. See, 6a is at a lesser level than the level of 6. So the length 5 to 6 is higher than length 5 to 6a, right? So that means this length is lesser than this length, right? The length from 5 to 6. Okay, so now that is also clear. So now let's focus the next process. So now I told you, after the end of the first turbine process, that means it has already done the work, right? So now after finishing the first expansion process, the first turbine has no any sort of a potential to do any other work. So again we need to charge the energy, because now we are going to charge the second turbine, right? So in order for the second turbine to do some work, again we are going to add some heat, but be very careful. That heat we are going to say reheat, because the reason from point 4a to point 5, this case, right? You can see now this case is the initial heat addition, right? So that is heating. So again from point 6a to 7 also we are going to add some heat, but for that we better call it reheat. Okay, again we are going to reheat in order to reach the point 7. I think now the point 7 is clear, it is there. Okay, right, so now see, it is 0.7, but be very careful, the 0.7 should be at a lesser level, right? The 0.7 must be at a lesser level when compared to 0.5, but because the reason the temperature at 0.5 is, I think it is 1500 Kelvin temperature, as I can remember, the temperature at the 0.7 is somewhere like 1300. You better check the problem again. Okay, so then again 7 to 8, what is 7 to 8? 7 to 8, this vertical line, this straight line, is the expansion of the final turbine, right? Because it is a diabetic expansion. But according to the actual scenario, it will stop at a lesser distance in the actual case because of the efficiency. So that is why it stops before the 0.8, because if it reaches till 0.8, the work would be higher, it is doing a higher job, but it doesn't reach up to 8, so it finishes before it reaches 0.8. Okay, so this is that level, right? So that means lesser work. So now this 8a is the actual representation. That is the actual representation. So now that is clear. Okay, so now you know basically there are certain processes. Now 6a to 7 is a heat addition process here, like this, heat addition 6a to 7, right? Then again from 4a to 5 also heat addition process, right? So 8a, this point is the end, that is the ending, done. So I think now everything is clear. Now it doesn't matter, you can connect point now. Okay, so now you can, I think I will again erase that. Okay, so now you can clear, now it is very clear, point 8a and point 8 we can connect through the curve, because the reason both the point 8a and point 8 are at the same pressure. Okay, so we can curve from a curve. Be careful, it is not a straight line, it is a curve. Okay, done. This is point 1, right? This one. So this is point 1. So we can connect 8a, 8 and point 1 through the same curve. Okay, through the same curve, because according to the problem it very clearly says that the final turbine process ends at the same initial pressure. Okay, so it is also done, right? So now let's continue further. I think now the TS diagram is very much clear, so be very careful in sketching the TS diagram. That is very much important, because now you know the facts. I don't need to explain it again. I think now the TS diagram is very much clear. Okay, so now quickly let's focus the rest of the calculations. Very important, we don't have much time. Okay, so now for the first compression we are going to use the formula T2 divided by T1 equals P2 by P1 gamma minus 1 over gamma. So why? Because we are using the ideal equation to find the temperature T2, right? Otherwise no any other way to find the temperature T2, right? So it is here, this temperature. So use this formula. I think T1 is the initial temperature. I think in the problem it is given as 28 degrees of Celsius. So that means put that in Kelvin. So 301. Pressure ratio P2 divided by P1 I already explained, right? I already explained. So P2 divided by P1, you know the pressure ratio in each stage. So gamma is given as 1.39. So this is just simplification, so you know how to obtain these values. So that is clear. Okay, right? So now we have to consider the most important part, the efficiency part. So now what is the efficiency of the compressor? 86%, 0.86. Now I told you that upstairs and downstairs that consideration is there. So downstairs part is the higher, that means work we had to do in the actual scenario is higher. So 2a dash goes there, right? T2 we know, T1 we know, here also T1 we know, so we can very easily calculate TA. So this is TA, because the reason we can't consider this value, because this is the ideal case. This is the ideal case, but this is the actual temperature, the real scenario. Okay, clear, right? So because it is not a magic, right? This T2, like this 440.97 value is okay if it is if the compressor efficiency is 100%, then it is okay, right? But it is not 100%, so that is why, see, we need to give some more heat because of the efficiency. If it is perfect, this temperature would be enough. As because it is not perfect, it requires something more. That is why 463. Okay, so let's focus further. Okay, the next thing, due to intercooling, I think this part also I very clearly explained. Already I explained. Due to intercooling, T1 equals T3. That means it is cooled till the till the initial temperature, because it is cooled till the initial temperature T1. So I think this part I already explained on the board video, I think, right? So that is also done. So then the next thing, what is the next thing? Next thing is the turbine scenario. Okay, so now again we are going to use this formula T6 divided by, you can either say T5 divided by T6, but here we need to find T6, so better subject T6, right? Because you need to find T6, right? So because this is the ideal equation, right? Okay, because like we need to use the ideal equation in order to find the ideal values. So T5 you know, because this 1525 is clearly mentioned in the problem, right? This guy you already know. What is this one? P6 divided by P5. That is very very clear, because I think on the board video I explained you how to find P5. P6 is given. What is P6? Is the pressure at the end of the expansion in the first stage. P6 is okay, right? P6 is okay. That is the final pressure at the end of the first expansion. What is this one? 15.41. That I very clearly explained you, because the reason doesn't matter. So let's go there again, because from point 4a to 5 it is constant pressure heating, right? Because from point 4a to 5 constant pressure heating, so the pressure at point 4a is same as the pressure at point 5, because you know how to find the pressure at point 4. You know that because of the pressure ratio, because I told you there is something called ultimate pressure ratio, P4 divided by P1. What is that? That is the ultimate pressure ratio. So carefully you need to put the values. I think that part I already explained, right? Okay. Right. So then you can find this temperature 907. This is the ideal value. Okay, so not the actual, right? So this is the ideal value without considering the efficiency. But I told you in the real case we have to consider the efficiency, so that means now we know the ideal value. So now let's use the efficiency formula for the turbine. So in the turbine, actually what it gives us is lesser. So T5 minus T6 actual divided by T5 minus T6. This guy T5 you know, T6 you know, so you can very easily evaluate T6a. That means the actual representation of the end point of the first expansion, actual temperature after the first expansion. Okay, so that's also clear, because if it works perfectly it should end at 974. That means it doesn't reach till 974, it reaches before that, because it is starting at a higher temperature. I think that is also clear. So now the scenario you need to apply for the second stage, that means the second turbine. Okay, so now we need to evaluate the point 8, that means the temperature T8, right? Which is at there, right? So that means this guy, right? This one. And the temperature at the point 7 we already know. This temperature we already know, so it's no problem because it is mentioned, right? It is mentioned. So then T8 we need to calculate. So we can use the formula T8 divided by T7 equals P8 by P7 into gamma minus NO gamma, right? So this 1393 is T7 temperature. What is P7? That's a very good point. P7 is the input pressure to the second turbine. So input pressure to the second turbine is same as the final pressure of the first turbine, because starting from the final point of the first expansion it is heated, right? I will explain that again if it is not clear. Starting from the final point of the first turbine process, it is heated. I told you heating process is a constant pressure heating process. So pressure at point 6a and pressure at point 7 are same. Okay, so that is the scenario, right? So now I think you know all the other data. P7 also okay. I hope you got that. P7 is same as P6 due to constant pressure heating. So you can very easily evaluate this temperature. So that is also clear. Again you have to consider the efficiency scenario. I don't need to explain again. So you need to evaluate what is T8a, the actual value of the actual value corresponding to this temperature. So definitely the actual value, right, would be higher than that. Now see, it is higher, 1042. Okay, so now all the values now we have evaluated. So now we have to evaluate the other calculations, right? That means, like, you know, compressor work, turbine work, those things. Okay, so let's see. It's very easy now, because after that, because now after evaluating all the necessary points, right, the only remaining thing is just use the equation and find it, right? Because like when you are going to evaluate compressor work, right, so when you are going to evaluate the compressor work, the only thing that you have to do is just use the formula and do it, right? So now let me teach you something. Now actually there is a very famous formula, you know, Q equals mc delta theta. Now delta theta is the temperature difference, okay? So now you can see this delta theta part is there. C means, because I told you here we are going to consider the compression. Even in the compression process, heat addition process, heat releasing process, all those processes we consider at the constant pressure. So that is why now this C we relate as Cp. That means like this is the major formula, but here the C that we are going to consider is specific heat capacity at the constant pressure, Cp. Then sometimes you might be having a doubt, what has happened to this M? Actually in this case M is actually 1 kilogram, right? M is 1 kilogram, because the reason I will again go to the input diagram, right? So if I go to the input diagram, now see, this is where we get the input. I think the color is not clear. Now see, this is the first compressor, right? Input to the first compressor, because here we consider input is air. Here we consider input for 1 kilogram of air. We consider 1 kilogram of air as the input. Okay, so that is the scenario. See, after the first compressor, the compression is done, then we are going to cool it here. So we have the intercooler, right? Because we are going to cool. So after cooling, the output is 3. I think the same thing I explained on the board. Now see again, at the end of the final stage compression, see, then we have the combustion chamber to heat, because the reason, in order to charge this point, right? What is this point? The starting point of the first turbine. In order to charge till here, in order to charge up to here, we need to provide some heat. So for that we need the combustion chamber. So here we input fuel, right? So after that, after the ending of the first stage turbine, again we are going to reheat it. That means again like a combustion chamber, right? So we are going to reheat it in order to charge the second turbine. Okay, right? So like that, here if you are going to consider for this M, we are going to consider mass of 1 kilogram of air for the easiness of the calculation. Okay, so that is why here this M is hidden. Actually M is not hidden. We are going to consider for 1 kilogram of air. Understand? Okay, so Cp times, now compressor work, there are two compressors, right? So Cp times temperature difference as the input to the first compressor and the output from the first compressor, input to the second compressor and output from the second compressor. So that is the formula, but I think T1 is same as T3, so you can simply put twice of that. So what is Cp? Cp, the specific heat capacity at the constant pressure, I think that is mentioned in the problem, right? In the problem it is given 1.0048, right? Okay, so the specific heat capacity value at the constant pressure is given. So now you can evaluate the compressor work. So what is this? This is the compressor work, right? So just use the formula and put the values. Okay, so the next thing is the turbine work. So now what is the turbine work? How to evaluate the turbine work? Turbine work is the, how to evaluate the turbine work? Cp times the input temperature to the turbine. If you are going to consider for the first turbine, the input temperature to the turbine T5 minus the ending temperature. You can put T6, it is okay, but when you are going to consider for the efficiency, it is 6 dash or 6A, right? So the temperature difference of the input and the output of the turbine, the input temperature and the output temperature of the turbine. Because if you are going to consider for the turbine, the input temperature is higher, right? Because we are going to charge it. So same thing for the second turbine, right? So this is how you are going to evaluate the turbine work. See this guy, now I am talking about this guy. Very easy. See guys, carefully see. Okay, now see, anyhow I told you we are going to consider for 1 kilogram of air. Okay, so M is 1 kg, so that is why the M is hidden, right? M is hidden, so it is 1. So Cp times temperature difference of the input to the first turbine and the output, the final temperature of the first turbine, initial temperature of the second turbine, and final temperature of the second turbine. Because this 8a we calculated, 6a we calculated, then T7 we calculated, T5 we calculated, so it's not a magic, right? Cp we know, so just find this one. So what is the value? What is the value of the turbine work? You can again see the video if it is not clear. So what is the value of the turbine work? 866.96. Okay, units kilojoules per kilogram, right? So that is also clear. The next thing, heat input. So now basically how many heat input processes are there, right? I told you there are two heat input processes, because one heat input process is the major heat input process starting from the point 4a, as you can remember, right? Because I told you 1 2, then from 2 to 3 from there, then 3 to 4. I told you then from starting from the point 4a, because I again can't go upwards, so that is why I sketched here. Starting from point 4a till it reaches point 5, we are going to add some heat, right? So that is the first heat addition process. So what is the formula? Cp times the point, the difference between the final, because here you have to put the final value, the higher value. Okay, so it is Cp times, right, the final temperature, I mean the target temperature, minus the initial temperature where we started to heat. Cp times final the difference of final temperature and the temperature that we started to add heat, times for the second case. I told you after the end of the first turbine process again we add heat, right? So there again also Cp times T7. Now T7 is the final temperature where we are going to charge the second turbine. T6 is the point where we start to add heat. So the heat input would be Cp times T7 minus T6a. 6a means the actual. So right, so this is the heat addition, because basically there are two heat addition processes, so that is the heat addition. Okay, so now you know how to evaluate heat input, so that is also clear, right? Do I need to teach that again? It's nothing magic, right? It's nothing magic. See, what should I, okay, now see the reason here from 4 to 5 we add some heat, right? 4 to 5 we add some heat, then again from 6 to 7 we add some heat, right? So that is the scenario, because those two heat addition processes are the major heat addition processes in this plant. So that is clear. Okay, so now we calculated the heat input, right? So then let's focus up to the next thing. Now the net output. On the net output is a very special case where most of the students they mix up. Now let me teach you something. Now if you are going to consider these compressors, now this compressor and that compressor, most of the students think that we are going to add heat externally to the compressors, but that is not the case. Actually these compressors are powered by the turbine, right? Okay, so now again if you are going to consider this circuit, so I will tell that, like so most of the time the first turbine we consider as the like high pressure turbine. Okay, the second one we consider as the low pressure turbine, but most of the time you know the compressors are powered by the high pressure turbine. That means the first one, this one, right? So anyhow, don't think that we externally provide heat to the compressors, like heat addition process, like so like the heat addition process in there, that means like in here, right? So like the heat addition process in here and there. So don't think that we are going to add heat to the compressors. It's not like that. It is just the compressors are powered by the turbine, right? Okay, so that means you know that turbines already provide us sort of an energy, right, for us to work, right? That means turbines itself provide us some energy, some work. So that work, some amount from that work we are using in order to run the compressors. Some work that is given to us by the turbines are used to run the compressor or the compressors. Okay, so now that means again, if I'm going to focus there, so then what is the net output? So then what is this net output? So that is why here uh, I'm going to consider a special scenario, net output. So that means the net output means it is not only the turbine work. Actually the net output is the turbine work, but some amount of this turbine work is used in order to drive the compressors. So that means the net output that the turbines are given to us is the turbine work. So now what is this turbine work? Turbine work is the energy that is provided by the turbine to us in order to do our works, but we can't get that full amount. Some amount of that is used to run the compressors, right? So turbine work minus compressor work would be the net output. So now I hope that logic is clear. Okay, so then what is the net power output? So now here as you can see here, the net output is in kilojoules per kilogram, but now we are going to evaluate the net power output in kilowatts. Okay, again if you are carefully going to focus the problem, the airflow rate is given. Now again look at here. Now this net output is considered. Now here we have evaluated net power output, which is 539.88. now this amount is considered per 1 kilogram of air, right? So but actually the airflow rate is not 1, actually it is 43 kilograms in a second, right? 43 kilograms per second. So but this 539.88 is provided by considering for 1 kilogram of air, but we are given 43 kilograms in a second. So it's very easy. So net output multiplied by the airflow rate will give you the net power in kilowatts. That means, like, because here kilojoules per kilogram, right? So if you multiply kilojoules per kilogram value from airflow rate which is given in kilograms per second, so you will get the answer in kilowatts. So I hope that is also clear. And then the next thing, thermal efficiency. So guys, what is the thermal efficiency? Thermal efficiency is the total amount of heat that we add, and the net it is the ratio. It is the ratio of what we actually get and what we actually give to the system, because in order to get the work from the system we have to give some sort of energy to the system, right? So that means now we know this is the heat added. Now I already discussed what is heat addition, right? That means 1448.4, this amount of heat in kilojoules per kilogram we give to the system by heating. How many heating processes are there? I mean, like this heating process, like this one and this one. So these two processes are the only heat addition processes. Addition of heat given in 4 to 5 and 6 to 7. Okay, so that is the heat input, and network we know, we calculated that. So the ratio of that, so it is 37.27 as a percentage. So that is how you are going to evaluate the thermal efficiency, the ratio of the network and the total heat added. So don't mix up. Heat added is not considered for the amount that we give to the compressor. So I clearly explained you that. So now that is okay. Then the air fuel ratio, how to evaluate the air fuel ratio. It's also a very important fact. Okay, let me explain you that. So now I told you, now we know the net heat added, because okay, so let me explain you that. So now in order for this system to work, right guys, now again carefully focus. Now in order for this system to work, right, so now you know just giving air will not be enough, right? So just giving air will not be enough. In order for the system to work, guys, we need to give fuel. See, From here we need to give some fuel, right? So I will put this large arrow. From here through the combustion chamber we give some fuel, and again from the reheater also we give some fuel. I have sketched many times, so sometimes the diagram will not be clear. Anyhow, we give some fuel from there. Again we are going to give some fuel from there through the reheater. Okay, right? So that means now we know what is the amount of heat that we need to add. Is that clear? So now we know what is the amount of heat that we need to add. That is clear. So this amount of heat is added per this much of air. That is what I told you guys. Just giving air will not be enough. So this much of heat is added. This 1448.4 heat is added per 1 kilogram of air. Okay, that means if you are giving 43 kilograms of air per second, that means this much of energy from the fuel is required. Shall I tell that again? 1448.4 is the required amount of energy in order to work with 1 kilogram of air, because we need to burn. Just giving air will not give you any burning energy, right? So we need to make some combustion, we need to do some heating. To that heating we need fuel, right? So per 1 kilogram of air, this is the required energy that we need to give, and for 43 kilograms of air, this is the energy that we need to get provided from fuel. Okay, F-U-E-L, fuel. Okay, so then now again focus guys. So the net heat added would be heat supplied by fuel in the combustion chamber, right? So that is the total heat added. But make sure there are two places where the combustion happens, as in here, this one and this one. One is there and one is 2 here. Okay, right? So now that we already evaluated, right? We evaluated the total amount of heat. So now this is the total amount of heat needed, right, per 1 second, because per 1 second we are giving 43 kilograms of air. That is the point. This is the amount of energy needed per 1 second. Per 1 second we need this much. So that would be the required amount of fuel per a second, because till we don't know the required amount of fuel per second, so that is why we put MF. Okay, so that is multiplied by the calorific value of 4. So what is the calorific value? Calorific value means how much of kilojoules of energy would be given by 1 kilogram of the fuel. Calorific value means very simple. That means calorific value means how many kilojoules of energy that you can get by burning 1 kilogram of the fuel. But be very careful about the units. Okay, if it is in megajoules, you need to do the relevant conversion. So that is multiplied by the fuel's calorific value, so multiplied by the combustion chamber efficiency. Okay, combustion chamber efficiency means that is something like this. It is something like corruption. Like, let me explain you guys. So if you need to how to say that, okay, so if you need to get a work done of 100 rupees, right? So if you need to get the work done of 100 rupees, just giving 100 rupees will not be enough. Sometimes in order to get your work done, you need to give something more than that. So like that, if you burn 100 amount of fuel, it will not give 100% of energy from that. So there would be some loss, right? Because nothing in the real life is perfect. So for that you have to consider the combustion chamber efficiency. That means if you give 100 units of fuel, it will not give corresponding 100 units of fuel output, right? Because we burn fuel in order to get some work done, right? So it will not give 100% of the most appropriate work done from it. There would be a loss. So then you have to multiply that by the combustion chamber or the burning efficiency. Okay, so that is also given. So then you can evaluate MF. So what is MF? Because now we know 43 kilograms of air is given per second. So in order to deal with 43 kilograms of air per second, we need to give 1.58. See, if you are going to do the calculations carefully, you would be getting 1.5. So we need to give 1.58 kilograms of fuel per second. So that we evaluated by using this simple formula, right? So it is clear, right? So then you can evaluate air-fuel ratio. Air-fuel ratio means the ratio of airflow rate and the fuel flow rate, right? So airflow rate is 43, fuel flow rate is 1.58, right? So it is clear, done. Okay, so thank you so much.